One of the biggest challenges that we see as we begin to cultivate relationships with folks, and they're in different ages, but especially the folks that are retiring, a lot of their products are taxed at ordinary income, and they thought that that meant that they would be in the lowest tax bracket. They didn't realize that because the house is typically paid off, the kids are out of the house, or at least from a write-off standpoint, they're out of the house. They figured that they would be in a lower tax bracket, but because of the way the bracket works and the distributions on qualified money, it actually keeps them in a higher tax bracket. Today, we're going to talk about how to save money on a tight budget and build a tax-free savings account. So today, a couple of things that we're going to really talk about is why should or should you not go past the match on your 401k contribution. Another topic that we're going to get into is, hey, is it smart to prepay your mortgage and or pay your mortgage off sooner or later? We could discuss that as well. And last but not least, we're going to discuss taking a look at all of your different deductibles on your insurance policies and making sure that you're spending the appropriate amount of money, not too much money. What begins to happen all the time, and a lot of you folks that are watching us right now, you're seeking information. You're seeking to take that next step and making sure that you're doing the right thing with your money. And we are constantly being bombarded with information about you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, and you should do that. The challenge there is, and I always talk about the right hand speaking to the left hand. Where is the congruency? So one of the topics that you always hear about is, hey, do the max contribution, even if it's past your match on a 401k. And our argument would be, okay, if your contribution match is 100% at 4%, that extra money, why not put it outside of the 401k into an alternative investment so you get the best of both worlds? You get the match on this side, but you're also creating liquidity in another investment over here that you have access to, you have control over. It is liquid and you can leverage it for other investments. And this is all during your wealth accumulation stage of your career. In other words, the time of you putting money away before retirement. And when we talk about going past, going up to the match and taking the difference and put it into these alternative investments, they could be anything. It could be, if you're a big Bitcoin person, it could be that. It could be real estate. It could be just a separate savings account. But the goal is to make sure that you're constantly creating a bucket that is liquid, that you have access to, because other opportunities can come your way. And if all your money's parked in a 401k and an IRA, and you need $50,000 to $100,000 or $20,000 for another investment, by having this separate alternative investment that's conservative, that is liquid, it'll allow you to tap into that money to take advantage of other opportunities. The other thing that I like to get into is, if you've ever studied a 15-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage, and typically a 15-year mortgage carries a higher interest rate, but the time is shorter, and the thought and the goal would be to pay off that property within 15 years. And by the way, if you could make it for yourself as an advantage for your money to work for you, that's not a bad idea, considering if you did a 30-year and the bank is making all the money. But we would argue if you compare a 15 to a 30-year, see what the price difference is, and let's say the 30-year is $1,000 less than the 15-year. Do the 30-year, but take that 1,000 and put it into another bucket. Once again, this bucket is liquid. It is a conservative investment. Let's say it could be earning, 5, 6, 7% a year. $1,000 a month over 12 months is $12,000 a year, or $120,000 every 10 years, or at year 15, $180,000. So let's say that 180 was earning a rate of return, over that 15-year period. That by the time you get to year 15 could be worth $250,000. So by the time you get to the 15th year, even though you're in a 30-year mortgage, you now have $250,000 to work with to either pay off your house or put into another piece of real estate or any other investment that's out there that could earn you a rate of return that could continue to pay your mortgage while you're still benefiting from all the tax write-offs. And once again, sticking to the thought process of congruency, the integration and coordination. Every single one of us have some kind of auto insurance or homeowner's insurance or renter's insurance. And the real question is, what is your deductible? Is your deductible $500? If it is, bump it up to $1,000. If it's $1,000, bump it up to $2,000. The reason why we suggest that over the long term and the financial mosaic is because, for example, if you got into a fender bender and you had a $500 deductible, but it cost you $700, you're gonna have to pay for that anyway, or it's gonna increase your coverage. Why not pay out of pocket, increase your deductible so you could save money on a monthly basis, and in the space of that savings on your homeowners, your auto, whatever that's gonna be, let's say it's $100, $200, maybe $300 a year, you could take those same dollars and then apply it to an umbrella policy, which is really a financial moat around your castle, right? So if you have a financial moat around your castle and that moat is filled with alligators or hot tar, whatever you want to call it, you now have protection from the things that you can't control, which is why the umbrella policy is very key to give you that get out of jail free card. So based on these 3 examples that I just shared with you, remember, this is money that you're already spending. If you're going past the match on a 401k, you could save that money and put it over here. If your deductibles are too low and you increase it, that's going to produce another savings. And once again, you can put it over here. Let's call it a wealth accumulation account. And lastly, if you're prepaying your mortgage and or making 1 extra payment a year, well, you could take that same money and put it over here. And now you're creating a whole nother fund that is liquid, available to you. And you could put that into another opportunity while you're still earning money, both in your real estate as well as your 401k. So this other wealth accumulation account that I'm speaking of, it's just really a temporary spot to be deployed into a cash value, high dividend paying life insurance plan. And as you begin to fund this over the long term, and you get by state law and by contract that guarantee rate of return that not only grows tax-free, but comes back tax-free up to basis, and to maintain that basis, you would borrow from beyond. And it allows you to have money later on in retirement that could offset any kind of tax liability on your qualified products. But also during your wealth accumulation phase, you could use this money while still earning a rate of return in your insurance for alternative investments. And some people like to use it to buy real estate. Some people like to use it to fund or finance their own debt, or be able to use the money in hard money lending strategies. Because remember, it's no different than bank-owned life insurance, where the bank loans money out over and over again while it's still earning a rate of return on the products that they buy inside the bank. Hey, listen, if you're 20, 25, 30, 40, or 50, even 55, 60, I know you're thinking life insurance. I thought that's meant for when I die. No, it's actually, that's term insurance, by the way, which is renter's insurance. What life insurance is, when you put it inside the overall financial mosaic from a strategic standpoint, think of a Swiss Army knife, where you can get multiple uses of the money while you're still having protection, both legally, from taxes as well, from inflation and from interest rates. This money could be earning a rate of return and yet deployed for other investment opportunities. And all the information that I just shared with you folks, by the way, listen, you're on a tight budget, I get it, and we just freed up some dollars potentially that you didn't know you had access to. But with that being said, everything doesn't mean anything until we could verify it and show it to you. So we have what we call the cash flow analysis worksheet. Go ahead and click the link below. On that worksheet, we're going to be able to identify these same lost dollars and as many more, besides what I just talked about today, that we could show you that exist in your world, and then have a conversation about what it looks like, what to do with that money. So we just went through 3 really cool examples of money leakage that's out there right now, probably in everybody's world, give or take. And for you, you may be asking yourself a question, hey, where is that in my world? Well, if you click the link below, we have the cash flow analysis worksheet, which systematically goes through your whole financial world, money in, money out. The worksheet will be able to identify these lost dollars, and then from that standpoint, you could strategize on where to put the money going forward. I know you're on a tight budget, and just so you know, the cash flow analysis worksheet is 100% free.